catered to AI strategies in the past, but then we got a feedback from the audience that they have heard a lot about strategies, but they want to see AI in action. We heard you, and hence we invited a very special man with us, Bandish Shah, who's Vice President of Noon. I welcome you, Bandish, on the stage. He's the one who's going to talk about how they have experimented with AI, and it is not just a buzzword. Over to you, Bandish.
So, good evening, guys. It's a deep pleasure for me to come here and talk about what we are doing at Noon with AI. And as Nilakshi said, it's definitely not a buzzword. It used to be 2 years back, but we are seeing it in action and on the ground right now. Firstly, quick introduction. So, my name is Bandish. I am Vice President of Seller Experience and Consumer Experience at Noon. As part of my role, I oversee experience of tens of thousands of sellers on our platform, transacting with millions of customers every day. And part of my job is to keep improving the experience through product, process, policy innovations, and by using newer technologies that keep coming our way every day, right? And the digital landscape is ever evolving and it's super fast paced. And the customers' expectations are rising every day. And it's highest so far, right? And in the era of reels and shorts and 15-minute iPhone deliveries, now if I talk about customer service, like 15-minute resolution times are, it feels like an eternity to the customers. Their expectations are, almost real-time resolutions, right? Especially the Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, right? And historically, I mean, if I talk about our industry, the customer service or the service industry in general, it has been plagued with a lot of challenges, right? And these challenges, rightly so, we couldn't resolve them or solve them because of lack of technology. And in the past 2 years, we have seen this technology that is, turning this industry on its head. It has completely changed. The companies have not yet adopted it. We are probably in this region, we are far ahead in AI than a lot of other companies, and it's going to be amazing when you get to experience what we have done. And in Noon, like we have embraced AI in every domain, almost every domain, starting from online product recommendations to seller onboarding to like product listing, and specifically in customer service through chatbots and voice bots. I mean, this is going to be a game changer once it goes out, right? And thanks to Find Copilot, for building such a great product, and we'll see a few of glimpses of what we have done as POC, and it is going to really blow your mind, right? So with that, I guess we can get into the slides just for some, just to see what we have done. So we'll start with the challenges that plagues customer service right now, right? We'll only talk specifically about how we are leveraging AI in customer service, and not other domains right now. So the main challenges is, the first is the high volume of contacts that we get from customers. No matter what kind of innovations you do on product, process side, there'll always be that cohort who will always land up on the customer channels asking for various kinds of issues, right? And there's a law of diminishing returns, right? No matter what you do, after a certain point, you can't just avoid customers, right? Coming to your support channels. And a huge volume of them are repetitive, right? And we'll talk about how traditionally we have solved it, and how AI is solving it now, right? Next major issue is that and I'm sure all of you have faced this, when you talk to a human, the human takes at least 4 to 5 minutes just for context building, like who is the customer, who am I talking to, what is the transaction about, what is the order about, and then more details about where the guy is located and what did the person order and blah, 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 right? And that 5 minutes in this day and age, I think it's pretty frustrating for people, right? And God forbid if you get disconnected with that agent and you get connected with someone else, you have to repeat the entire thing again, which is double frustrating, right? And and again, the next thing is the inconsistent service quality. Like if you talk to, there's a very common thing in service industry. Like if you talk to different people about the same thing, you'll never get the same answer, right? Because everyone has different comprehensibility about what's going on, different understanding of processes and systems, and again leads to like massive customer frustration, right? Um, and to solve these four issues, what companies do is they deploy a lot of support staff. You have like army of trainers and like, to manage attrition, you have an, army of people to address the attrition and stuff like that, which is again a lot of additional cost to the business. A lot of these we tried to solve with not so intelligent chatbots, like more like rule-based chatbots. But very soon we realized that like customers, when they interface with any kind of bot that's rule-based, all they're doing is trying to find that door which gives inroads to directly a human, right? Like I'm sure if you call any bank, call center, like you are just trying to find 9, right? Does it lead to a human, right? And same with chatbots, like you are trying to find the gateway to a human. And the reason is that there's no trust on a like preset logics, which is all it's trying to do is like, ward off the customer from the support centers, right? Another thing that happened is one of the ways that we tried to solve this traditionally is, by especially the inconsistency in the services, is by templatizing a lot of, because we had repeat queries and issues, you tend to templatize everything. And when you templatize it, just so that the agent can easily select the answer, right, to your queries, what ends up happening is the human starts behaving like a robot for the customer. So traditionally, we have done so many things to make humans behave like robots. And now with AI, first time ever, we are seeing bots behave much better than humans, right? And this industry is going to like flip on its head now, right? So these were the main challenges which never could be solved. And now, and that is what led to the inevitable shift to AI, right? With AI, we have instant resolutions to, in long term to any kind of queries. It can be, super complex queries. And as long as you have trained the model well enough, there'll be instant resolutions, like no more, talking to people, no more explaining them what, like you don't even have to write full sentences. You write like broken sentences and the technology will understand what you're asking for and it will just do it for you, right? Extreme consistency in the quality of your answers, of the deterministic way that it can solve all your queries, right? So super consistent, 24/7 available, and needless to say, it's very cost efficient. It's probably like 20-25% of the human cost that any like customer support team would incur right now. It's not working. No. Okay. So, we had our fair share of apprehensions with AI a year back, right? In terms of, because it was still the different LLMs and softwares were still evolving. We weren't sure how, like what roadblocks, what hurdles we would face. And so we ended up setting up certain guidelines to evaluate different kind of AI solutions, right? These were sort of the building blocks to evaluate different vendors, different solutions, or when we are building it ourselves, what should we take care of, right? So very first thing was the user experience. The bot should absolutely feel like a human. There should not be a single word that gives a inkling to the customer that it's probably a bot, right? And I'll tie that with the next slide as well. How one of the things that we did that was absolutely important is the human handover. We'll talk about it later. Second thing was empathy, right? So bots have a tendency to be very direct, but with LLMs, you can actually create personas of when you want the bot to be empathetic, when you want it to be super direct and informational, and not beat around the bush and stuff like that, right? There's super localization. Like you use one LLM, you are exposed to more than 100 languages, and at different levels, like at academic levels of language proficiency to just a lingo based language. Like you just have to prompt it and it will give you all exposure to all languages, including dialects of Arabics in various countries. Consistency, that this used to be a problem with LLMs, where there used to be a lot of hallucinations, and like um, in India we call them gurus, like people who have a lot of knowledge. They tend to give a lot of unsolicited advice. AI used to do that, right? So you ask AI something, it will fill in a lot of its own knowledge into it and give you answers, which is what you call as hallucination. But now with a lot of grounding techniques, you can actually base your model into your own universe of SOPs and policies, and it's doing wonders. Like it's almost 100% deterministically it can answer. You can know what the answer will be. So there's extreme control in deploying the AI solutions as well. Another thing was the integration. So we have our own technology stack, right? So we have in-house apps, and we have certain external vendors for CRMs and stuff like that. The thing was, how easy is it to integrate with our current stack, right, to solve all the issues? And next was, will our existing teams be able to adopt it very easily, right? Because this cuts across multiple teams. Every team will have to adopt it. And last but not the least was, if we go fully autopilot and if things go wrong, how will we tackle it? With AI, you're at almost running blind. Like this AI agent is talking to thousands, tens of thousands of customers in real time every day. What if it utters something that is, illegal, or it's against the ethos of the company or whatever, right? Now, like, how do you address that was a major thing that was creating a lot of apprehension, right? And that's where we, with these guiding principles, we set out evaluating a lot of vendors. We evaluated a lot of vendors. We evaluated direct LLM models, and I think more than 10 vendors we evaluated across all geographies. And we finally picked Find Copilot for the POC, because it ticked almost all the checkboxes that we had. Plus, they worked like a startup. So there was no bureaucracy, super fast delivery of the POC. I think probably like they did it over the extended weekend that you had in August, like in 3 or 4 days. But what we found is, in the POC, this chatbot, and we have a video of some sample chats that we did. It was super efficient in handling all the queries, like from basic to complex to somewhere where we want to showcase some empathy with the customers. It was extremely efficient and deterministic. So you ask the same question 10 times, it will give you the same answer, sometimes paraphrasing it, but the answer deterministically, it was, it did not hallucinate, it did not give different answers different times, right? And the last one was actually the main thing, which was what I referred to the previous slide as well. If something goes wrong, how do I get an actual human into this entire equation, right? So this is actually a sort of a make or break for any AI chatbot. A smooth handover for anything that you term as unforeseen, or something that is not as per what you want, it needs to go to an actual human, right? And that's where we built an engine to sense a lot of unforeseen circumstances, like maybe the customer is frustrated, or maybe the bot is answering things that it should not answer, which lies outside the known ecosystem, and that's when it immediately switches to a human, right? So with all our apprehensions sort of catered to, we deployed a POC, and okay, here is a video. Yeah. So this is a video of a very basic query. It's just, where is my order, right? And there are certain things that we require the customer to know as part of this question. And it answered all those. Okay, it's too fast, I guess. Can you play it again? Yeah. Maybe you can pause it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it, based on what the status of the order is in our system, it says that, and so it takes in 5 or 6 parameters to come up with this answer. It takes in what's the status of the order, whether it's a home address or a office address. It takes in the time of the day, and depending on home or office address, whether it can be delivered, like what is the time window we can deliver it. It also takes into account the number of the delivery associate, right? And all of this is shared in less than a second, right? Which otherwise a human would take at least 4 to 5 minutes to, skim through all the systems that we have, right? And then it also asks, answers follow-up questions, right? So if so the customer asks, how can I reschedule? Because I'm not at home at this time, can I reschedule it? So it also gives, to reschedule, you can just follow so-and-so steps, right? So it's completely conversational, which otherwise a human would take a long time to answer, right? Moving to more complex queries now, this kind of queries is where you've already sort of messed up the order as a company, and you want to take a complaint for that, right? So if you see here, firstly, it's the bot is apologizing for the delay in the order, and then it asks, do you want me to raise a complaint for this order? Customer says yes, and immediately it raises a complaint and also shares the ticket number, and it also says that it will be resolved in X number of hours, right? This is all like autopilot, like no one is monitoring it, and it's automatic, right? And so this is complex because it eventually goes to a human dedicated team who's going to solve this issue. And it integrates with our CRM systems. And our teams work on those CRM systems to resolve those complaints. And this is an example of an empathetic query. So here the customer, the agent, the bot already knows that it's a delayed order. So it empathizes with the customer and automatically raises a complaint, provides a complaint number, and in the backend automatically it's routed to the relevant teams who has to work on it to expedite the delivery, right? This is a very simple, like a basic example, but this extrapolates to almost every kind of issue that you can think of when it comes to, let's say, e-commerce, right? And it can be extrapolated to other industries as well very easily. So yeah, and to do this, Find Copilot, so it requires integrations with our app, with our databases, with our CRMs, the multi-system integrations that is required, which these guys could do it very easily and very well because they already have plug-and-play solutions for that. And the most important, it can cater to multiple communication channels. So all channels like WhatsApp, app, website, phone. They also have voice capabilities. Again, already said that they support all languages, and they require like super minimal training for the staff. It's like the system does its thing. Like humans don't need to really worry about it, right? And so the result of the POC was that 95% of the queries were resolvable by AI. And this is like 95% is, personally I feel, so in a longer term we can reach 99, almost 100%. Only those queries where it's a query that we see for the first time, or it's a, let's say, new business or new process and the model is not trained on, only those the AI cannot cater to. Everything else, it can be as complex as, requiring like third order solutioning, right? Everything is resolvable. The response time, for example, for context setting, right, which would take 3 to 4 minutes on an average, is again now real time. You know, um, now, so what happens is in future, 98% of the queries will be resolved by AI, and customers will be really happy about it. There'll be remaining 2% which are absolutely weird cases, where there'll be like a set of people who will really go above and beyond to solve them, which right now it's not possible because you're like everything is manual. You can't really give a too much focus on each of the complaints or each of the concerns, right? Now this gives us the leeway to go above and beyond and solve those like really, really weird cases. So yeah, I mean, with that, I guess, so one parting statement is that AI is not replacing human touch. It is actually enhancing it. It is actually going to amplify it through by enabling us to provide faster, smarter, and more personalized experience to the customers and at scale. That's the most important. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bandish. Quickly, I would like to invite Ronak on stage. Soon after, we'll open for Q&A.
In terms of that, it's closed, so it's not very easy to integrate with other systems. So each LLM has some pros and cons, and that's where the learning curve for any company happens, where you have to choose the right model for yourself, right? So I mean, yeah, that's
Okay, great. So the second question, based on what you mentioned, was obviously what you showed here was AI to power customer support, right? What role do you think AI can play within Noon to empower your agents and improve their productivity?
so. I mean, as an intermediary step, actually, what we have taken is that we are going to take the agent assist route to reach full autopilot, right? What we saw here is full autopilot, but of course, when we have this is just one scenario, we have 200 plus such scenarios, right? Uh, it's very difficult to perfect it first, uh, um, and then roll it out in full autopilot. So the intermediary step is do an agent assist model where the same responses will be generated by the model, but instead of throwing it straight away to the customer, it will be thrown to the agent first. Now, if you think about it, right now what agent does is looks through the systems and understands what the issue is and gathers all the information and then types it and sends it, right? Now all of this AI will do immediately and send it to the agent. Agent can just verify whether it's accurate or not and send it, right? And if it's not accurate, the agent can edit it and change it and send it. Now this is basically riding a bicycle with side wheels, right? And the moment you reach a certain accuracy level, you know that okay, the kid has grown up, you don't need side wheels, you can remove it. That's when you remove it and it goes autopilot, right? So I feel like a lot of apprehension about autopilot can be killed if you can just use that agent assist model and then gradually move to autopilot, which in my experience shouldn't take a long time, right? It's just a step in the way. So yeah.
And how do you see this also helping with employee onboarding, right? Because you would have so many agents coming. I'm assuming there's also a high churn in the team.
Yeah.
How long does it today take you to train your agents? And then do you think AI can essentially help?
Yeah. So there's one. So we are actually also using AI for our training right now, and it's phenomenal. There are some companies, I'm sure you guys would have it or are planning to do it. But training, it typically takes like 3.5 weeks for new agents to come in, and this is like basic level of training. The person is not like fully equipped to take complex queries and stuff. Now there are AI models. What it does is that it simulates an actual customer environment, customer service environment for the agent. So the agent just has to sit and select, okay, I want to train myself on, returns, right? All return related stuff. and the AI, and you can also set the tonality of the customer that you want. Let's say you want a extremely pissed off, rude kind of customer, you know, the AI will just behave extremely rudely and the most difficult customer one has ever seen, right? And the agent has to in real time respond both on voice and chat, and it will then score, right? And after scoring, it will also say where you faltered, and then you can repeat it, right? So it's a self-served, on your own kind of a training module, right? And you can choose the persona of the customer. You can choose what kind of issue or concern you want to train yourself on, and then it also based on once you have enough repository of the agent, it also knows that this agent is really weak in certain areas and keeps pushing those training modules. So yeah, I mean that way it's really amazing.
Very insightful. I think we can take some questions from the audience. I'm sure everyone will be very curious.
Sure.
Any questions from the audience? Do you want to pass the mic?
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen. My name is Shankar. I head the supply chain at Truebill Marketing and Trading. I have a question on the CRM. See, when you have these question answers and you have already set the algorithms in place, and every complaint that comes in is relayed to the concerned department. After that, how do you ensure it's foolproof? Because often my experience is people take it, then after that the customer is left in the dark. We don't know. There has to be a harmony between the people and the system. If that's not there, the purpose is defeated. Now, I would like to know how you ensure that this approach is foolproof.
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, AI is only as effective as the underlying infrastructure that you have in your company. For example, I'll give an example. If the customer is coming on the chat asking that I want to reschedule my order, if you don't have underlying workflows to reschedule it through the system, then the AI is not going to be able to solve it, right? What is going to happen is over next few months or couple of years, right? So the AI is just doing the work of a human in terms of communicating and doing what the human would do, right?
Do you have data on how many customers went from going from the chatbot to a human versus the AI copilot to a human?
Chatbot to human, there's about 12 to 13% who end up with a human, right? Which is actually a very high number, right? And this 12%, 13% is after. So the thing is that we already have a chatbot in our. If you go to Noon app, if you want to ask any questions, right, you will be taken through a series of clicks where the bot will try to identify what your issue is and answer it then and there, right? What we have realized is that most customers, even though they have the information, they still want just a feeling of talking to a human, that somehow they feel that it's more authentic than what is coded in the bot, right? This 12 to 13%, our belief is that if it's a AI-led thing, it will be zero, practically zero. We will basically decide when to switch over to a human when the AI is not performing well, right?
Well, then you can
humans,
set it at zero.
Yeah?
You could set it at zero, right?
No, I mean, we don't want the customers to go in loop. So for sure, look, 2 years down the line, it will be literally zero. It will take certain time to really craft out that model, right? Which can navigate all kind of queries, follow-up questions and everything. It's a 2-year journey, but the results are going to be immediate. But to really scale it to all we have 200 types of issues, right?
When is it going to go into production? I'll do
by
some shopping
December
from
you'll
Noon.
be probably by January you'll start seeing some glimpses of AI.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anjali. Thanks, Bandish. Thanks, Ronak. So we wrap this session up. You had a question?
We can take one.
All right. Last question.
Thank you. So, thanks a lot. So, most of the technology adoptions in whichever form comes at a cost, right? Now, the longer it takes to adopt, or the more the cost. So from Noon's perspective, I understand that, okay, happy customers, at the end of the day, that's what you're trying to do. Do you have any metrics where you sort of check whether the longevity, the LTV of that customer is measured as recurring revenue, or, for example, all this investment, in terms of returns,
Yeah.
whether it has really scaled up the revenue? Do you have any metrics which you follow in that sense, other than the operational efficiency and the customer
Yeah.
engagement?
So, customer service, we look at it as of now, from AI standpoint, we look at it as a cost center. We don't really track or measure repeat purchases or retention rate, right? But as a proxy to that is CSAT scores, right? Which is more direct. Like if you're having an interaction with me right now, your satisfaction with the interaction is what defines how good it was, and not whether you came and purchased another thing from my website, because your purchase intent is not influenced by my interaction, really, right? Like literally right now, if I have a bad interaction with you outside in a networking event, you might hate me, but you might probably just go on Noon if you get a good deal, right? So we don't really, here we are looking at, like, main two metrics are definitely satisfaction scores. And since it's a cost center, almost immediately you get 75% cost savings. Like on a unit level, like if you treat an interaction as a unit, per unit, you're saving 75% from the get-go. So it's not a cost plus model where, you keep investing, and like 2 years later you reap the benefits. No, like the day you implement, you get benefits. So, to your short answer is retention rates, we don't really marry with, customer service as of now.